In this lesson, we are going to learn the basics of three-point perspective. We are going to look at some examples. I'll analyze them for you. And in the next lesson, we will draw a three-point perspective scene. Three-point perspective is actually not as common compared to 1 point and 2 point. That's because it only exists under certain circumstances. It has to fulfill certain criteria before you can actually see it. And the way our eye works, the way our eye views the world, we usually do not see it. As the name suggests, three-point perspective has 3 vanishing points. So this is the horizon line. I have placed 1 vanishing point on the left, 1 on the right, and I'm going to place 1 right at the top here, right? So let's draw a cityscape scene again. I'm going to draw a building here. This is the edge of the building. The angled line will go to this vanishing point here, and this line will go to this vanishing point here, and this line here will be affected by this vanishing point. So we have to draw it like this. So this line actually goes to the vanishing point up there. This vertical line, since it's directly beneath this vanishing point, it's vertical and it's pointing there. And we have another line here, another line here, and another line here. So this is how this building will look like. Let me draw some windows. So this is how the building will look like. It will look a bit warped. So this is not something that we usually see in real life. Let's draw another building on the left side. Okay, so this next building is on the left side. I'm going to place the bottom corner of the building here and draw it straight up to the vanishing point in the sky. This is a taller building, and there is another side of the building. So for the side, I'm going to draw it to this vanishing point. This is a much bigger building, so I'm going to draw it a bit bigger. And this line here will be like this, comes down like this. And here, this point here will go to the vanishing point, so it will be like this. So let's join it like this. And here it's like this. It comes down like this. And this will be like this. Okay, so obviously this is very warped, very distorted. So this is something that you may see if you are actually taking a photograph. Maybe you place your camera very low on the ground and have the camera point up. Then the camera lens will work to give you this sort of perspective lines. But in real life, if we are looking straight on at the building, we are going to see the building in 2-point perspective rather than 3-point perspective. On the ground level, when we are looking at something with our eyes, we usually do not see things like this. This usually happens when you are taking a photograph and you're pointing the camera upwards. The third vanishing point could also appear beneath the horizon line. So let's say this is a cityscape and now I'm on the 90th floor of a skyscraper. So this is the horizon line. There are lots of buildings around here, and there's this building that is very close to me. Let me put the vanishing point right here, right? So I'm going to draw that building. This will be the corner of the building. We'll go here, like this. And this corner of the building will go here, like this. And we'll come here, like this. All right. Now, this vanishing point here will contribute to this line here. And this line here is determined by this vanishing point here, and this will control this line here, right? So this point here will go to the vanishing point again, like this. And we have another line here. This line here is controlled by this vanishing point, and this will go here, so it's something like this. And this corner here will be controlled by this. So I need to draw it like this. All right. So imagine this is actually a skyscraper as well, because you are taller than the skyscraper. You can see the top of this skyscraper building. And there are lots of windows. So for 3-point perspective, the vanishing point can either be above the horizon line or below the horizon line. And for you to see this sort of perspective, you have to usually be very high up on a building, looking down, looking below the horizon line, and then you should see this. So usually if you're on the ground level, you won't be able to see this, and you won't be able to see the earlier example. Let's take a look at some reference photos. Now bear in mind that some of these photos, they were taken with the intention to recreate 3-point perspective. So some of these photos, the buildings, the scenes, they may not look exactly like this. For example, with this particular photo, I took this photo with the camera rather low on the ground, pointing upwards to bend the lines in so that I can recreate that vanishing point right up there in the sky. In real life, these lines like this, these lines, they are supposed to be vertical, as in vertical like the edge of this photograph type of vertical. But here you can see that this photo was sort of distorted and the lines, they bend in slightly. So there is one vanishing point right at the top. It's very far right up there in the sky because the lines, they are not bending like this. They are sort of still pretty parallel. That's why the vanishing point is very high up. So there's one point in the sky, and this is a 2-point perspective scene. So we have a 3-point perspective photo here. If you want to have a clearer example of 3-point perspective in real life, go outdoors and find a tall building and stand close to the building so that you can see the 2 sides of the building, one side and 2 sides, and look up in the sky. So as you look up in the sky, you will be able to see the lines. They will go up into the sky, they will continue to go up into the sky, and they will converge at a vanishing point right at the top in the sky. So that would be one vanishing point. And as you look at the top edge of the building, the 2 edges here and here, and if you look at the bottom of the buildings, you will be able to see the other 2 vanishing points. Sometimes they are very far apart, such as in this case here. But when you are looking up at a tall building, you will be able to see a real life 3-point perspective example. And notice this lamppost here. This lamppost is also affected by the vanishing point right up there in the sky. And here, as it bends, it's affected by the vanishing point on the left side. Whenever I see a vertical line that is tilted, especially in a photograph like this, for example, 3-point perspective comes to my mind straight away. So this will go up, and this will go up. So there's one vanishing point right at the top, and there are 2 more vanishing points at the ground level on the horizon. Here's another example of 3-point perspective. I took this photo on a very tall residential block. So the residential block that I'm at is actually as tall as this, and from what I can see, the horizon line is here. So you can see this horizontal line. This is affected by the horizon line, and it goes across the screen. And the vanishing point for this, you can see that this line actually goes down, and this also goes down like this. There is a vanishing point right on the ground somewhere. It's very far down. And this is a 2-point perspective as well. Take a look at the diagonal lines on this building here. So this diagonal line will come here, and this will, you see this line here, this will come here. So the vanishing point for this building, it's here. And there is another vanishing point for this building here. See this diagonal line here and here. So there's a vanishing point for this building that is right here. And all these little blocks right on the ground. Here's a close-up. I can still see some diagonal lines here and here. You can compare to the edge of the photograph, which is vertical, and these are the diagonal lines. Some lines, they are not going to be that obvious. They're going to look vertical, but if you look closely, if you actually go and measure with your pen or pencil, they are actually tilted. And that's because they are affected by the vanishing point right on the ground somewhere. It's more obvious if you were to, let's say, go to the window ledge there and look down on the ground level. You we'll be able to see the lines converge at a vanishing point on the ground. Let's take a look at some examples of three-point perspective that I have drawn. Now this sketch was actually drawn with the help of a reference photo that I have taken at a very tall skyscraper. So because I've taken the photo with a camera, there's some camera distortion. The vertical lines, they are all sort of bending inwards like this. Now if I were to draw this in real life, I would actually see these vertical lines as vertical lines, like really vertical lines. But to get the sense of height in your drawing, for me sometimes to recreate that sense of height, I may actually tilt the vertical lines inwards slightly just to get a sense of height. Even though in real life, as I look forward, look in front of me, those lines are actually vertical. So for this sketch, it's actually this reference photo that I've shown you earlier. So we have the diagonal lines like this going down, but in real life, as I was drawing, I drew this on location, I saw the lines vertically. Here's another sketch. This is actually just two-point perspective. The vertical lines, they are all vertical lines, there's no tilting. I drew this sketch on location at a very tall hotel, looking sort of downwards. But as I look forward in front of me, the skyscrapers, they are all pretty straight. That's why I drew them straight. So if you want to draw three-point perspective, if you want to introduce three-point perspective in your scene, actually sometimes you have to make a conscious decision to introduce a vanishing point, even though that vanishing point may not be there. Here's another example. Now this is a sketch of a very messy table, a desk in an office. There are lots of magazines around, lots of books around. So let's try and find a vanishing point. So this is the edge of the table. And it points upwards here. And see these boxes here, they point upwards here. So there is a vanishing point right here. When I drew this sketch, I was actually standing. So my eye level is here. The vanishing point is actually right here, and this vanishing point, it controls certain diagonal lines in this particular sketch. You can see this monitor here. This monitor, the diagonal line is controlled by the vanishing point right up here. And if we take a look at the desk, at the bottom of the desk here, this line here, this is a table, the side of the table, and it's supposed to be vertical, but it bends in. That's because there is a vanishing point right at the bottom somewhere there. And that vanishing point also controls the angles of this line, and this line, and certain other elements in the scene. Now I drew this sketch looking straight on. If I were to turn left and turn right, I would be able to see more of the sides of the table, and that would introduce more vanishing points. So is this considered a three-point perspective scene? Well, I'm not too sure. When I'm drawing this particular scene, I marked out the vanishing point on the paper first so that I can draw those diagonal lines to the vanishing point. And as I reach the bottom of the sketch, as I was drawing these areas here, I wanted to tilt the lines down to the vanishing point below so that the sketch will look right. So it looks like as if I'm looking in front, and as I look down, I can see those lines are going down. Now, this also reminds me of another place where you can find a three-point perspective, and it's just right in front of you, your desk. You can look at your desk and look down at your desk towards the floor and see where those lines are going, where the legs are going. For example, if you take a look at this table that I'm filming this video at, there is a vanishing point on the left side. This line, they are pointing left. There's a vanishing point on the right side. This line, they are pointing to the right side. And there's another vanishing point right down there at the bottom. You see this diagonal line here, it goes down. This is also sort of tilted, it goes down as well. And if you move closer to your desk or sit closer, the perspective effect is going to be more obvious as well. So this line here will go to the left vanishing point. This line here will go to the right vanishing point. So we have two vanishing points already. And you see the legs here, they are going down like this, they are going down to another vanishing point. So those are the basics of 3-point perspective. Now for your homework, I want you to bring a pen or a pencil and go around your house or maybe go outdoors and look for real-world examples of 3-point perspective. Now they may not be easy to find. My tip for you is to look up or look down. If you're just looking straight in front of you, a vertical line is just going to be a vertical line. And if you see diagonal lines, you're going to just find 2 vanishing points. It's going to get you a 2-point perspective. But as you look up or as you look down, the lines may start to converge together to produce another vanishing point. So that's your 3-point perspective. And that's your homework. Just go around and look for examples. In the next lesson, we have a hands-on tutorial. We are going to draw a scene in a 3-point perspective.